Hi, Vinny. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I love you on TikTok. Like what I've seen on TikTok and Twitter is just your comedy is my comedy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So what was it about You're Cordially Invited that, made you want to audition for this role and come into this movie?
Yeah, well, I have a relationship with the director, Nick Stoller. He directed Platonic, and then I was briefly on Bros for a second. I was ultimately cut out of Bros, but he directed Bros. And so he sometimes just pulls me along to some of his projects, which is great. He's awesome. So yeah, that I think was the initial thing. I went to a reading, like a script reading, kind of in this big room with all these like huge. It was Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell and a bunch of other folks kind of in this room just reading this script, and then Leanne Morgan, who's a huge comic, and so that was a little intimidating. But yeah, I just kind of read, and then Nick was like, we're gonna make an assistant character for you. You're gonna play Reese Witherspoon's assistant in this movie.
I mean, what was that like? Because I mean, I've seen like the snippet in the trailer, and it just that one little snippet was already like, oh, that's so cute. Like I like this.
Um, she's so amazing. Reese Witherspoon is funny, but also like an actor. Do you know what I mean? I think that was my first time kind of being on screen with someone who really takes the shit serious because there was one moment where like I walked out from the background um, and we were waiting to shoot. It was just me and Reese standing next to each other. And I look at Reese and she's got kind of like a harumph, kind of like disappointed, angry, pinchy little face on. And I was worried that she was like, upset or she needed something. So I checked in and I was like, Reese, is everything okay? And she goes, oh no, I'm acting. I'm just locking in. And I said, oh, absolutely. Me too. I'm also like, my asking you that question was also me locking in as my character who actually doesn't know what's going on.
So let's jump into who you play in the movie.
I'm playing Davy, uh, who is Reese's assistant. Reese plays Margot. And Margot's one of the people kind of fighting over the wedding location with Will. Um, and yeah, I'm her chief assistant at her production company, Black Sheep Productions. And I'm very put upon and a little bit surly, and a little bit rude, but in a very subtle and kind of polite way that makes you think, oh, he's actually quite nice, until you think about it for 1 second, and then you're like, oh, he's kind of a kind of a dick. Um, but yeah, I think any character that exists within kind of a bureaucratic corporate context, I really latch on to for some reason, and this is a great example of that. Anyone carrying a clipboard, I think, is my ultimate goal is to play people who carry clipboards and say, yes, exactly, thank you. You know, that type of stuff.
So what was your favorite moment on the set with this movie? Like either like a favorite scene or just something that happened behind stage.
Oh my gosh. There's a scene on a dock, and that is so extraordinary and like overkill and crazy, and it's so complicated, and I can't wait for people to see it. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about. I think that scene, there's a scene on a dock where something crazy happens, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. And it's very fun to watch. A lot of people screaming. It's very chaotic, and I'm carrying my clipboard, watching politely from far enough away to be safe.
So what was it like filming? Because some of this was on location as well as in studios. What was it like on location? Because that place, like what I've seen, looks gorgeous.
Oh, it's gorgeous, mama. They were shooting at this like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it was this lakeside kind of property in Georgia, in kind of rural Georgia. I didn't even know there were lakes like this, but I guess they flooded a bunch of neighborhoods in Georgia and created these beautiful artificial lakes. And so we're on this resort, and it's like this sprawling golf course. It's a place that I don't think ever in my life I thought I would be in general. Um, I can't remember the name of it. or I would have said it by now. But it's really nice. I'll say that. It's very gaggy. The grass is green, the water's wet. And yeah, there were a lot of white people milling around with sweaters kind of tied around their necks in that way that white people at resorts kind of tie sweaters around their necks.
Colin is out there. I don't know. I always do that. Like, the place name is like in my head, and then I'm just like, I cannot tell you actually now what it is, and I've done it so many times.
Can I tell you, I was this close to making up a name? I was gonna be like, yeah, we were at this beautiful resort called Santorini's Respite or something. I was just gonna make up kind of two random, you know, we were at the Green. I was gonna call it the Green, whatever that means, and I decided against it.
This is where it turns out that you had the right name all along.
That's really beautiful, and honestly, a lot of confidence in me that I don't have in myself. I have the name all along. I don't have the name, girl. I don't know where it is.
So even though this is a rom-com and like just like one of those movies that you kind of watch just to be entertained, there's always a message behind it as well. What
Yeah.
message do you think the viewers are going to take from the movie?
I think it's all about happy accidents, right? I think it's all about um, the fact that sometimes from a conflict can arise something else, like initially there's this huge issue and then more transpires and there's a lot of chaos, but then there are a lot of turns too. And it's about kind of turning negatives into positives and making the best of a bad situation, I think, is the overall message. It's a good message, a healthy message, and a message we need in these trying times.
It is. I will agree with that one. Like, definitely a message we need. And happy accidents happen all the time.
Oh my gosh, you're telling me.
It's usually with my hair.
No, stop. Wait, your picture was green. The
Yeah,
initial picture, your
it
hair
was.
was
It was
green.
meant to be green.
Your hair looks pretty. You were visiting. Your hair looks gorgeous. You know it looks gorgeous.
So let's just very quickly with Davey. Can you describe him in 3 words or phrases?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say um tight. I would say tight. I would say suspicious. And I would say dejected.
Oh,
Yeah. He's very funny. He's kind of just he's a classic like millennial who is does too much for his job, but his job is his life. Do you know what I mean? Like if he stops doing this, he might die. He has to do this job, and then he has kind of this. I feel a kind of a distant codependent relationship with Margot that's also very fascinating. Like it's kind of that symbiotic thing of how like a clownfish lives in an anemone and the anemone will like eat little pieces of food that the clownfish drops. I'm very much the anemone like supporting Margot and she's dropping little pieces of food that I'm grabbing and putting into my mouth hole.
I can't wait to see it all play. So, just as my last question, what's your dream role? What would you love to be pulled onto next?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I have a kind of a chaotic, bouncy little mind. I would love to do a lot of things. I would love to. There's a show coming out on CBS that's about the DMV. I would love to be on that show because I love a kind of a depressing workplace. I love a monotonous, sad workplace. But I would also love to like be a villain or voice a villain in maybe a new DC comedy. Like there's a show on Max, not HBO, unfortunately, called Creature Commandos that's really sick. So something like that might be fun. Or I could take a pivot and do something kind of Bill Nye related, and do some science education for the girls. Whatever works. I'm gonna take it.
So, where can we find you on social media? What's the, the handles for people to find your everything that you do? Because I love it.
Thank you for asking. You can find me at VINN_AYY. That's at VINN_AYY on TikTok, and Instagram and also X. But I'm on Blue Sky too, just as Vinny Thomas.
Well, thank you so much for your time. That is all the questions I've got, but I cannot wait to see this movie.
Thank you so much.